Entertaining and informative radio for the Sunshine State.
It's now time for Connecting Caregivers with author, speaker, caregiver advocate, and talk show host Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for caregivers.
All the caregivers around the world today, it's time to lift you up. It's time to celebrate. Good afternoon and welcome to Connecting Caregivers with me, Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for the caregivers with love, laughter, and lessons learned, because you know I got a whole bunch of that stuff. And with me, as always, is my best friend, my co-host. As always, again, thank you, God. My best friend and co-host and sidekick, not psychic, Lynn Thornley.
Hi, nice to be here.
It's very nice to be here. So much better. I almost passed your house when I was going here today.
I know.
You got me out of that habit. I don't like it.
What was it, 8 months, 7 months?
8 months and 22 minutes.
That's like me when I quit smoking in 9 days and 5.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. So I'm just really happy you're here today. We got some new listeners. We have Raphael from Sarasota, Imogene from St. Pete, and Shirley from Kenneth City.
Oh, welcome. And who's on the board?
On the board is Bobby.
Hello. Happy Saturday as always.
Sure I got in first,
thank
right?
you. It was a good order this time. That was very good.
Thank you.
And now we're at 32 seconds. The 8 months, 32 seconds since she's been here.
Well, with us on the show today, we have Debbie Selsavage is calling in, and she's with Coping with Dementia. And we also have our friends that are turning out to be regulars on the show, is Maureen Rulison and Brian LeBlanc from Are Dementia Strong.
And Bella.
And Bella.
And Bella.
So we're glad that you're all here today. So it's Christmas season. So I want to play this song. This song is by Pete Camp, and Pete Camp is a cousin of mine on Long Island. And he wrote this song last year. He's 20 years old. He wrote the song. There are 5 instruments in the song. He plays all 5, and he sings. So let's hit it. This will put you in the spirit.
And the lights and the snow. And I know that if you ever need me, you know that I will be sitting by the fireplace late at night, knowing that together it'll all be alright. And I'll be piling up the blankets on our favorite chair, counting down the seconds till you make it here. That just about sums it up for me. I just need you and the Christmas tree. Yeah. You know I don't need to worry, cause I know I've been good, but I'd still like some cold like the firewood. So Santa, please hurry and pack up your sleigh. Don't you forget to bring my baby my way. Cause I know that there's more to Christmas than the lights and the snow. And I know that if you ever need me, you know that I will be sitting by the fireplace late at night, knowing that together it'll all be alright. And I'll be piling up the blankets on our favorite chair, counting down the seconds till you make it here. That just about sums it up for me. I just need you and the Christmas tree.
Yeah, I just love that song, isn't it?
That was great.
And I think he's so talented to be able to play all those instruments and write the song and sing the song is pretty amazing. They have his one aunt has a place upstate New York, a straw bale house that they built. And so the whole family, they go up there and they like 5 of them play instruments and they put on concerts.
Oh,
and
wow.
one time, a while ago, they went, they're taking a long time getting ready. Everybody's like, what? They all came out. They had tattoos on them and all that stuff. They're just such fun.
Heidi's family's such
Oh, my God. They're just such fun. So that's fun.
But I love that song.
Yeah.
And I'm all decorated for Christmas.
Yes, you are. Your place looks awesome. I'm not up to it. I thought I'm just going to do the tree and the stockings this year because
That's good though.
Well,
That's
I figured once I
something.
put but I opened up the box yesterday and saw some stuff in there.
Yeah, and once your garden's done this week.
Yeah, so my
We're
garden
gonna-
this week.
We're going to put up our Christmas tree this weekend, but we're going to wait to decorate with ornaments until Emma, our granddaughter, comes over.
Yeah,
And,
that's much more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember my grandchildren when they're little. Everything is just,
I remember couldn't wait till they left so I could fix it.
It's so funny.
Sounds like me.
A little anal.
So do we have Debbie on the line?
We do.
Hi,
we
Debbie.
do.
How are you today?
We're doing great. How about everybody else? Talking about Christmas and the holidays, huh?
Yep, we're doing good. Trying to get a little Christmas spirit here. So I wanted to talk with you a little bit about support groups and what you're finding in the support groups and the benefit for people right now, because I think it's so important that they hear about that. And then I'm hoping you can stay on the entire call.
I can.
Okay, because I want you to talk about some things with Brian and Maureen too. And just, anytime you have something to say, just say it.
Okay.
So let's talk first about the support groups.
So the support groups, we have seen, I was just talking about that this morning. I've seen so much of a change from when we started 8 months ago to today. I think that the support groups have empowered the caregivers to kind of have the empathy for others.
Yeah.
They kind of check on each other and where are you? They're texting to each other. They're communicating. They're supporting, which has really been a great change there. When someone's having a bad day, they can hear it on the support group and they text them and say, I'm here. Give me a call. Let me know what's going on. How can I help? And that person is communicating back to me to see if we can get what we need to them.
Wonderful.
this whole caregiving, and I know Maureen probably knows about this too, is caregiving for a person that has some changes in their brain is an art. It's not a science, and you're going to make mistakes. And we always have the ability to come back and do it again in a different way. But what we know is just what Brian is sitting there with his dog. They have feelings, and that's what we work on. So when we work on feelings and empathy and compassion, we're going to make it right. We're going to do a good job.
Right.
And just like Linda taught me, 2 words very important in caregiving: I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When I make a
I'm
mistake,
sorry is really
sorry.
difficult, isn't it?
It can be, and it's scary. But what's interesting is the more I have become comfortable with saying I'm sorry when I make a mistake, Brian has become more comfortable with acknowledging that he's made mistakes or, been angry, and he uses I'm sorry. So it's contagious.
And you know what? It's fabulous when you care about somebody and you're able to express that. Lynn and I lately, oh my God, we were crabbing at each other the other day like I can't even tell you. And we're never like that, ever like that. And I said, I'm sorry I was so crappy. But, you just like that sometimes. And you have to have that person or that somebody that you can vent to.
Which is where the support groups come in
Don't you feel better after yesterday?
Yeah.
I wasn't so angry anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
But you see, to give Maureen credit, we got into this relationship after I have been on my Alzheimer's journey for years.
Really, for years.
Yeah. And so she has to jump in where other people they go
journey,
from the very start. So she had a lot to deal with, a lot to learn.
Yeah.
And
you learn as you go.
Right. And she's right. I've also learned how to say I'm sorry. And we forgive each other all the time because we're only human, and we get into some delightful discussions.
Educational opportunities.
That's right. Educational opportunities is what she calls it. I'm still trying to figure that one out. So,
but I'm sorry are very powerful words. I remember when I was a little girl, we had just moved into our house in West Hempstead. So I was like around 3 years old. And I was supposed to be in the house eating my lunch. And one of the neighbors had a duck, Elvis the duck. And they would walk around the block with the duck. And I wanted to see that duck so bad. I shoved that entire sandwich down my throat and I ran outside. And my mother went over here and smacked me on the behind and told me to go back inside and eat. Didn't realize I shoved the whole thing down my throat. But later on, she said she was sorry to me. And at such a young age, I can remember that, how powerful it was, because we all make mistakes and we're all the same and we're all human beings.
Forgiveness and grace. You know, I used to think, Debbie, I bet you've experienced this too, as a professional, which I've been in this industry for decades. I thought I knew. Then I became a real life care partner. I'm like, I don't know nothing.
Exactly.
It's totally different when it comes home.
But, you know, I grace and forgiveness.
Yeah.
And I understand now. But Linda, you and I had a powerful conversation that I'd like Debbie to be part of about persons living alone who are on the journey with dementia.
You know, Maureen and I were chatting the other day, Debbie, and she mentioned somebody that she knows that's living alone with dementia. I never think about somebody living alone with dementia. I always think they have family or they live in a community or something. And when she said that to me, I just started crying because I can't really imagine how hard it must be.
It's really hard. And you know, Maureen, when you mentioned that, there was a person that called me a couple of weeks ago, and she thought she was experiencing some memory changes or brain changes, whatever you want to call them. And she, of course, took the first step and went to her doctor. And given her age and what she said was happening, he said, here's some medication. Well, we know what the medication was Namenda, and no testing whatsoever. So she decided she wouldn't fill this prescription for several months and decided to give me a call. And when I went over to there to meet her, she had been struggling with a lot of things that all of us are struggling with COVID, is having a specific routine, keeping that routine and maintaining some sort of sociability. Well, when I sat there and was talking to her, she had managed that because of who she was in her past life, which was an organizer, a fixer. So she had things managed. And when I said, I don't think you really need to try this. Let's see how long. She was going to water aerobics every morning. She was volunteering at a pet shelter 3 days a week. So she didn't have some of the signs. But because we're isolated, we're seeing declines in just normal people. But for someone that is alone, that doesn't have an interaction with people, it's even more difficult. And with the only person that we have to depend on and not knowing about social groups or support groups, they depend on the physician. And the physician's going to fix it with something that we all know that sometimes isn't the most effective fit.
And the physician doesn't even take a long enough time to really even talk to them.
Right.
Absolutely.
And they don't know what else to do.
Yeah. Because they don't have the education.
Except, here, try this. It's a magic pill. Yeah, I was on both Namenda and Aricept. Bad reactions to both of them.
Yeah.
And, you know, Brian, they don't really listen to the person. And because our health system is set up the way that it is, we need to provide more than 15 minutes for our folks to be able to communicate with the physician. But I will tell you that Linda's been on some of the support groups with us on Wednesday evening, and we have people that are dealing with the journey of dementia come onto our support groups. And it is so amazing to speak to them because they can tell us some of the feelings that they're having about not being validated, not being included in their care or be listened to about their care. And it's really sad. And so we have to be, as Maureen is and Linda and Lynn, you have to be advocates to kind of not be, quote, the doctor, but to be able to tell them, would you think about asking this? And this is why I'm saying that. They feel much more empowered. They're not gone. They're in there.
Yeah.
Just give me a chance to be there.
One of the things that I've become very hyper aware of is micro messaging. I was,
Explain what that is.
okay. Well, I think by example, I will.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I never ever wanted, when Brian was speaking in public, whether it person or on the world's famous computer, I never wanted him to not be correct. I didn't want anybody to say, well, last time Brian said this and this time Brian said that. So when he would be telling stories or relating incidents and he would say them wrong, I would correct him. No, that's not how that happened. No, that's not what you said.
Who cares?
Well, I did. Okay. And
Yeah.
I thought Brian did. But all of the sudden, and I mean that, like, somebody hit me over the head with a frying pan. I thought to myself, what message am I giving Brian when I do that? Oh, you can't tell stories anymore. Oh, you can't relate.
Yeah, you don't need to talk
You can't
anymore.
talk anymore. And then it just went down that whole escalator of, gosh, I wonder if some of our folks that are living on the journey with dementia that are nonverbal because we have micro messaged to them that they can't talk, or that what they have to say is not.
Or no one's
valid.
going to understand them. Or...
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
See, I didn't even realize I was doing that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, and I think you're right. And what Brian, you just was about to say is they forget that it does take away the ability for them to have a voice.
Yeah.
Now, as we're having brain changes, even if we don't have brain changes, we all make mistakes.
Right.
It's just giving us a platform to be accepted.
Well, the thing is that every time I tell a story, it's whatever pops up into my mind. And it could be something, now that I'm aware of that, it could be something totally different and has nothing to do with what actually happened. But that's what my brain's telling me. And so it's kind of like an in the moment thing, is that I can tell the same story 100 times and have a different ending every single time that I tell the story.
But I had to realize that it was your story.
Right.
And let it be your story.
And look, you also have to understand that Maureen got into a relationship with a guy that has been living with Alzheimer's for a number of years. She was not there at the beginning.
Were you alone at the beginning?
Yes. Well, not at the very beginning, but I was alone for about 2.5 years.
Before Maureen.
Yeah, before Maureen.
Now,
And I thought I was doing great.
Yeah, and you weren't?
No, I was not. I wasn't taking my medications like I should. I wasn't going to doctor's appointments. I was basically a hermit. I was.
And Brian, you just brought something up that reiterates what Maureen is saying about people living alone. And so many people outside long distance caregivings or families, they believe that they're doing fine because I spent 15 minutes on the phone with you and you said everything was going really well. But what we forget is that as our brain is changing, the short-term memory is no longer there, and they're not taking their medicines. Guess what else they're not doing? They can't smell bad food. They're not eating. They're not hydrating.
Yep.
Oh, I ate. Thank God for Cheerios and peanut butter.
But coffee, Cheerios, and peanut butter was all he was eating.
Yeah. That's what I would eat.
Wow.
It was,
and you figure I'm cool. I'm good.
Yeah, you got to figure it's easy to make. You just pour cereal and milk. Voila, you got a meal.
Right.
So I do miss my Honey Nut Cheerios. But, I'm diabetic and I shouldn't have been eating those things after, in the beginning. So, but, Maureen has basically turned my life completely around for the good. She manages all my meds. Yeah. Well, and that's when the fight started. But, she manages my medications. It's funny because I have these pill boxes and they have to be, refilled. And so I wanted to help. Well, me wanting to help, she could do a whole box in the time that I could do like 2 days.
Right.
You know? And so finally she said, no offense to you, why don't you just let me do it? And so every time we start doing it, and I say we because I sit there and watch her, but I ask her, I said, now, anytime you want me to jump in, let me know. And she goes, okay.
Now, I didn't take it away from him. Number one, I didn't take it away from him.
Right.
Number two,
right.
it wasn't the amount of time that it was taking him.
It was correct.
It wasn't correct.
Right.
And so many
Oh my
pills
God, it's
look
hard for somebody that has no issues.
Yeah.
which isn't me, by the way. I've got my own issues.
I mean, really?
Yeah, I used to make my husband's, but I did them in Dixie cups. He'd get 4 a day, and it would say morning, noon, all that.
Yeah.
Because his idea was that he just went and took pills when he needed them.
Whatever.
That was me.
And if I have a headache, okay, so that would mean 5 Tylenols, and this would go on. But he did it. He was diabetic also, but he also had Parkinson's and everything else. He was on like 17 medications a day.
It's crazy.
Rule of 5 gone.
Yeah.
All right, right now
Maureen a question. Oh,
we have to hear from our wonderful sponsors,
Okay.
so don't go away. We'll be right back on Connecting Caregivers Radio.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Are you looking for compassionate and dependable home care for you or a loved one? Assisting Hands Home Care, serving Pinellas and Pasco counties, can help.
The day came that taking care of my mother was no longer the best thing for me or for her. Between kids and a job, I couldn't give her the attention she needed and deserved, and I was overwhelmed. So I reached out to Assisting Hands Home Care. Now I can see what an important decision that was, and I feel confident that my mother has compassionate and dependable caregivers who help her to stay happy, healthy, and home. Today, I'm able to visit with my mother and enjoy our time together, which is exactly what we both needed.
Assisting Hands Home Care. Call today for your free in-home consultation. In Pinellas, call 727-748-4211 or visit assistinghands.com. When you can't do it all, give Assisting Hands a call. Arden Courts is an assisted living facility designed to care for those that are struggling with dementia or Alzheimer's, where families and residents can feel the freedom with a nurse on site 24/7. Arden Courts provides specialized memory care in a safe and nurturing environment. They recognize every individual's physical, mental, and social needs and provide a secure environment that fosters independence for as long as possible. Walking paths, visual cues, and home-like amenities invoke a sense of freedom and independence. At Arden Courts, their goal is to make your loved one as comfortable, independent, and healthy as possible. They offer 10 hours a day of activities and programming with a unique setting of a home-like environment and 4 theme houses. It warms my heart to see how happy the residents are. Please call or stop in to talk with a representative. Arden Courts of Seminole at 727-517-7800, Largo 727-559-8411, or Palm Harbor 727-771-1600. Give them a call.
Is the fear of falling keeping you from doing the things you love? Do you suffer from diabetic neuropathy or plantar fasciitis? VoxLife can help. Whether you're caring for someone you love or being cared for, VoxLife wearable neurotech helps your body reach its full potential. Proven to reduce symptoms of diabetic neuropathy and plantar fasciitis, VoxLife also reduces the risk of falling in adults over the age of 55 by 8 times. VoxLife is a safe, simple, drug-free solution that optimizes your neurology. The biggest breakthrough in wellness in 50 years. VoxLife offers a 30-day money-back guarantee. You can't afford not to try it. To learn more about VoxLife, go to www.voxlife.com/caregivers. That's www.voxlife.com/caregivers. They help my parents and they can help yours too.
Don't turn it off now. You need this stuff. Tampa Bay's Tan Talk Radio Network.
Yes, I see that. And here we are back and chatting and laughing constantly. So, Debbie, before we went to our sponsors, you started to say something. Debbie?
a delay in the show and me. But Maureen, when Brian has repeated twice that he has, that you walked into a situation where he was already in his journey. Has that given you the ability to find out who Brian was? Do you have conversations about that? Do you have conversations about who he was? Because that's so important for all of us, and that sometimes could be a deficit for you walking in this journey with Brian.
I've spent the last year between Brian and all of his friends and his family getting to know who. Let me just tell you, I stalked him for 5 years before he remembered me.
She did.
I was living up in Northwest Florida where he was, and people said, Maureen, with what you do, you need to meet Brian LeBlanc. So the first time he ever did a public speaking event, I was there. And
wow.
I introduced myself. So I'm going to tell you the very fast version. 16 times I went to hear him speak, and I would go up to see him afterwards, and it was like he'd never met me before. And it was when he pulled out his, quote, business card when we were at dinner one night, and instead it was his room key, and he handed it to me, and I said, "Oh, no, I don't care about your Alzheimer's. No."
It was an honest mistake.
It was not. It was on purpose.
She tries to tell me that I did it on purpose.
It was on purpose.
It was in the same pocket.
But you see what the dynamics that changed that moment were that I stopped treating him like a man with Alzheimer's, and I started treating him like a man.
Right.
Absolutely.
As a person. Yeah.
And so, no, I'm not going to go that far.
Okay.
And 16 times it took.
Over a course of 5 years.
Wow.
Wow.
But then he wouldn't let me alone. So, then I was like, oh, what have I done now? So,
be careful what you
ask for. So, yes, Debbie, I have intentionally and purposefully spent the last year. We've been to New Orleans 4 times so that I could spend time with his family and his friends, getting to know Brian, the whole person.
That is so cool, because that is probably something that makes this work. That's so cool. That's just was a question I had, because we see even some of the folks that have been together for a very long time, it's given you a different view of Brian. But even folks that we see that have been together for a really long time, they forget who that person was and why they're doing the things that they're doing.
Yep.
And it takes away from being a part of the journey.
Absolutely.
So being part of the journey and having an understanding of why they're doing it is because that's who he is. That's who he always has been.
You're the first person that's asked me that question. What I get asked a lot is and it's by persons who are care partners now. They ask me, is it different not having all the baggage of, decades long relationship?
Oh.
And I just remind them that Brian and I came into this relationship with decades of baggage anyway, it just wasn't with each other.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we believe in it. I know you believe it because we tell everybody on Facebook all the time. We have arguments, we have fights. I'm not proud of it.
Well, you're human beings.
Yeah. So it's normal. And Brian likes to talk about himself. So
did he always? Did you find out?
Yes, he has.
So
he was
a
speaker,
right? There you go.
Somebody had to.
Yeah. I still want to talk a little bit more about people living alone.
Okay.
What some of the suggestions that you and I made the other day and how we could make a difference in that. And I thought if we go ahead, tell them what you were saying about a 55 community.
Well, that was actually your idea, Linda. Debbie, and I want to hear what you have to say about this. Linda suggested that she and I pick a couple to start 55 plus communities, go in and find out who the movers and shakers are in that community, and work with them to put together
some education.
A group of people who are educated on, if they have someone living in their community with even mild cognitive impairment,
right?
Someone that they could call. Brian has hallucinations. Brian had hallucinations when he was living alone. They are scary. Imagine waking up all by yourself.
I can't.
You know, what you're saying is similar to what Coping with Dementia has been doing for our community here in Citrus County. We've gone into 55 plus. We've gone into churches. We have gotten a core of the churches and the members so that they can better keep their membership. Because if they lose the person living with brain change, they also lose their caregiver. And that's not necessarily what we want to see, because then we isolate and socialization is gone. The other thing is just what you've pointed out. Pointing a finger at someone that is different and we don't help is wrong. It's absolutely wrong. So we should be creating a supportive environment for all, but our personal desire is and passion is dementia, folks living with Alzheimer's and dementia or brain change. So we have, with Coping with Dementia, created a program that we go in and teach them symptoms, things to look for, characteristics to look for that you might be able to help them, but also don't just leave them at a lurch. Be there to support them.
Be the resource.
Have those calls. Yes, be the resource. Yes.
I think that's so important because, this is everywhere. Everywhere. And people want to help people when they know they need help and when they know how to help them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a whole new industry coming up around solo seniors. I don't know if that's the best term, but it's far better than orphans, which is what they used to call them. There are so many people who are in the aging process or disease process that are alone, don't have kids, don't have family.
Yeah.
Right.
And we need to become more proactively aware of this.
Well, I think
Maureen, some of the things that are really prevalent is how it's increasing in the state of Florida. We can take everywhere else, but the state of Florida is number 2 under California for the number of folks that are just dealing with forms of dementia, which is 580,000 right now.
Yep.
So we can be the model. I really do believe that Florida can be the model for much more compassion for people that are alone. Forget about even brain change, just being alone. We can be the model because we have the people right here that need us, that need the resources. Now, of course, COVID hasn't helped with resources, but when Linda and I first started the support groups in the beginning, we realized that it wasn't the resources that they needed, it was the contact with someone that cared.
I've seen Brian and all of our friends that are living with brain change progress tremendously during COVID. I mean, it's people
sad.
Keep saying when things get back to normal, well, guess what?
That's not going to change.
They don't get back what they've lost.
No.
Right.
And that's not only
get back to normal. We need to start living life.
Right. And we have seen it's not just folks that are in the home with their care partners that's in long-term care.
Yes, ma'am.
We're seeing declines all around. And how do we stop it? Well, how do we maintain it? But we need to give them support to be able to have a resource. And Linda's talked about this, and Linda's talked about this a lot. Having resources is absolutely the most that we can do for our community. We're not going to be able to fix everything. I know that we've tried.
Yeah.
And I have to, I've been kind of overwhelmed in that feeling that I've got a lot of crisis phone calls, as Linda probably has, and I can't solve all of them, but I can try and get them to people that can help me support them.
Right. Which is the most important thing. That's what I say to people. I don't have all the answers, but I know enough people out there. Somebody's got the answer, and we'll always find out what it is. And that's what it, when a caregiver calls me and I give them an answer, they're like, oh, thank you. Just someone told me about that. I didn't know about that. And then sometimes I'll meet with a caregiver, and they just cry for an hour because they're just so overwhelmed and they don't know what to do. But if you can let them have that cry and get that out, well, then we can start seeing what steps can we do after that.
one of the most impactful experiences I've had as a care partner that just taught me was to realize that during this COVID, how I love Brian with all of my heart. He kind of likes me a little bit. We've been together 24/7. We're sick of looking at each other. Okay. Yeah. We got nothing else to talk about. Except for we're going to talk about Bella when we are in the car on the way home.
Exactly. But she's not being very cooperative.
Even without COVID, we need to realize both the care receiver and the caregiver need a break from each other.
Yeah.
But
how long have you been with Brian?
We've only been living together since December 2nd last year.
Oh, so 1 year.
Yeah.
We're out of things to talk about.
Yeah, 24/7.
However, we do laugh a lot.
Oh,
Yes.
yes, I can see that. That's great.
Maureen was, and I put this on Facebook this morning, is that she was reading some stuff for her business, and it says capitalization is the downfall of many a business. And I said, well, that's okay. Just do everything in lowercase.
I was like, why didn't I think of that?
Sounded perfectly logical to me.
Yeah.
I saw that on Facebook. Yes.
That's pretty funny.
I crack myself up sometimes.
Lynn and I do that a lot.
But we need to remember that it's not just giving people a break that are the care partners. The care receivers need a break.
Yeah. Or you hear me say, you may think you're the bomb caregiver and that no one can do it as good as you can, and your loved one is going under their breath. Will you please go away for a couple hours?
But it all goes back to the saying that, number one, when you meet one person with dementia, you've met one person with dementia. But also knowing that dementia in and of itself, and all the diseases that it encompasses, there's no cure, no way to stop the progression, and it's also the most misunderstood diseases that there are.
Absolutely.
Because people just don't understand what Alzheimer's does, what Lewy body does, what Parkinson's does. It's a multitude of things. And people just don't understand.
Yeah.
Because there's not enough education to teach them.
And people are afraid to talk about it a lot of times too. They're just afraid of, like, it's going to maybe go away if you don't talk about it.
I don't think Debbie's afraid to talk about it. Are you, Debbie?
Not at all. And I will tell you that I think that in some cases, if we do educate enough, we take that stigma down that allows the person to have a voice.
Yeah.
I just, so what you're saying about going into communities and going into 55 plus, they're very, very welcoming because they want to help. And especially in those over 55 communities, they are a family.
Yeah.
And they want to help. So we have found most of our joy in dealing with people that want to make a difference for people that are struggling, but also have the resources to be able to help them and their family.
Well,
it's huge.
I think all people want to help if they know. That's why I'm so successful with the business card that says the person I'm with has Alzheimer's and dementia, because once people know, they want to help. But if they don't know, they just think, well, that person's a little wacky or something,
Well, I've recently been asked to join an organization, and it's called
Dementia-Friendly
Airports. Yeah. And it's to go through all airports, because the way that we get treated, and I don't like to use that word, but it is, the way that we get treated is just unacceptable.
Right.
When we walk up and we say we have Alzheimer's, or we have this, or we have that,
can we please be board?
Can we be first to get on board? Can we have a row that maybe just has 2 seats, so I'm not sitting next to somebody that I don't know?
Right.
Different things, wheelchairs and this, that, and the other. They don't understand this. Some airports do a pretty good job, but there's so much more education to do that. And
Well, it'd be
that's
something. It'd
what-
be so cool if they had the education, and then like somewhere on the boarding pass, you just put a little purple angel or something. Then the people would know, what they're dealing with.
Because right now they have them wearing lanyards with big bright daisies on them. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, really.
I know.
Let's let the whole airport know everything.
Right.
Yeah. We have a road ahead of us. There are a lot of things that need to be done out there, but I feel fabulous that we're making differences.
Yeah.
Just the differences I've seen in the support group alone has been phenomenal this year. Many times people are like, oh, okay, it's time for the support group. No, these people are looking forward to the support group. They're looking forward to information. They're looking forward to socialization. They're looking forward to, they're making new friends.
Right.
It's huge.
Well, I think Linda and I need to do a field trip over to Debbie.
Yeah, I think we do too.
Yeah, and I'm so sorry I'm not there, but I really do think that in numbers, we can make a difference. We don't have to do this singular.
Yeah.
So I would like to eventually meet you and Brian, and I'm sure that we can come to
I'm sure we can figure it
some
out.
really great ideas that will help. But it is, for me, it's been a great journey for me because I didn't have, with my husband Albert, the best results as Brian's having with someone that's there. Albert had to go into long-term care, and it was not the greatest experience. So I'm trying to change that for others, to bring them to be more aware. And I think Linda has said this, and everybody totally agrees. Education is power. And when you have the education of why and what they're doing, you can be much more effective.
Yep.
Well, we also need to stop thinking of dementia as an old people's disease.
Oh, no.
And I think that Brian does when he's talking in person to professional care partners. He does a thing about how many years will it be until you're 54 years old? And he asks a few people in the audience, he goes, that's when I was diagnosed as 54. What if you only have 8 years until it's you? What are you going to do between now and then to change the world?
Something to think about. But right now we need to hear from our wonderful partners. So don't go away. We'll be right back on Connecting Caregivers Radio.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Choosing the right chiropractor is an important choice to make. Located in Seminole, the Alexander Spine Center team is trained on the latest chiropractic treatments and technologies. At Alexander Spine Center, you'll find chiropractic and physical therapy care that is safe, effective, and a natural approach to pain and other health-related issues. Chiropractic unlocks your body's potential and natural healing process to ensure your life is a healthy life. We treat clients from the womb to the tomb. Call 727-397-3000 for a free consultation today, or visit our website at www.alexanderspinecenter.com.
They take good care of me twice a week. And did you know they got the Reader's Choice Award for 2019 for the best chiropractic in Pinellas County? So check them out. Arden Courts is an assisted living facility designed to care for those that are struggling with dementia or Alzheimer's, where families and residents can feel the freedom with a nurse on site 24/7. Arden Courts provides specialized memory care in a safe and nurturing environment. They recognize every individual's physical, mental, and social needs and provide a secure environment that fosters independence for as long as possible. Walking paths, visual cues, and home-like amenities invoke a sense of freedom and independence. At Arden Courts, their goal is to make your loved one as comfortable, independent, and healthy as possible. They offer 10 hours a day of activities and programming, with a unique setting of a home-like environment and 4 theme houses. It warms my heart to see how happy the residents are. Please call or stop in to talk with a representative. Arden Courts of Seminole at 727-517-7800, Largo 727-559-8411, or Palm Harbor 727-771-1600. Give them a call.
Guaranteed to make you laugh through your tears, Linda Burhan's book, Good Night and God Bless, is filled with humor and heartfelt inspiration to aid anyone facing the challenge of caring for a loved one at the end of life. Her story offers hope for human strength and understanding of weaknesses during a difficult time. Life doesn't normally prepare us to become a loved one's caregiver. When it happens, it's usually sudden. A diagnosis of an illness, age-related frailty, dementia, and life suddenly is anything but normal. And because we don't even know what we don't know, where do we turn to for help or guidance? In Connecting Caregivers, Answers to the Questions You Didn't Know You Needed to Ask, Linda offers information, education, and inspiration from her own experience and from experts whose advice, practical tools, and personal stories will empower and guide you. Make sure to add these inspiring books to your collection today. Available on Amazon.com.
Don't turn it off now. You need this stuff. Tampa Bay's Tan Talk Radio Network.
And they're off. That means it's time to get your pen and paper because Lynn's got good stuff to tell you.
I do.
Yeah, you do.
I have 4 webinars to talk about, Zoom webinars. And if you're interested in any of the following, email Linda through her website, lindaburhans.com, and she'll give you the links because they're too long to tell you about. All right, the first one is Caregiver Guilt Around the Holidays with Tam Cummings. It's on Tuesday, December 8th at 2 p.m. And then the other 3 are by Linda Burhans. There's Gratitude and Journaling equal Reduce Caregiver Stress. It's a 3-part Zoom webinar, and starts on Monday, January 11th, and then the 18th and the 25th, all at 11 a.m. Then there is the Dementia Dance, When to Lead and When to Follow. That's Tuesday, January 19th at 11 a.m. And then You, Me, and Dementia, Alzheimer's Speaks Out, Wednesday, January 20th at 11 a.m.
With these guys.
Oh, I have to write that down.
Yes.
With Brian and
we
Maureen.
also have this week, December 8th, if you go to channel 21, you can see Saving Claire and learn about fall prevention.
It's going to be on TV?
Yeah, on channel 21, the local channel.
You're everywhere.
Yeah. Also, this week I'll be starting my first. I'm starting a new podcast, Connecting Caregivers Presents, and then I'll decide what I'm presenting every time. And this week it's going to be author Anne Scott. Actually, she's going to be calling me from Ireland, and she wrote a book, Sizzling Bacon, and it's all about a story about how to tell children about Alzheimer's and dementia, which I think is really important. That they know that education. So yeah, and there'll be other new ones coming up. So that's very exciting. All right, guys, what's the last thing we want to say to our listeners? We only have a few more minutes, but I'd like you all to.
Well, the thing that's always first for me is that we need to create a dementia-friendly community. So much of the caregiver stress, so much of the decline for people living with Alzheimer's is that they become secluded. And when we look at persons who are living with a dementia-related illness as just seeing the world through a different lens rather than being odd or weird or scary.
Right. Just different.
Just a different lens.
Yep. And we're going to work very hard this coming year with education, all of us in the room right here, and Debbie, to try to see more things that we can get out there for people. With my new podcast, Connecting Caregivers Presents, we're going to have a bunch of Brian's friends on one of them that have living forms. With different forms, and also James Hamilton, and he'll be on the show in a couple of weeks because we got people out there that want to talk about it, and we need to hear about it because it's hard to help someone when you don't know what they're thinking. They know what they're thinking.
I would like to say that I hope everybody comes to an understanding that just because you've been diagnosed with a dementia-related illness does not mean you go from pre-diagnosis to end stage.
Right.
There's a lot of living that happens in between. And that's what you have to do is to live your life. Don't
every day.
Yeah. You are not your disease.
Right.
You're still a person.
Yeah. James Hamilton said to me he was working with some people and they were working on a project. And they were all saying who could do what. And he said, I'm really good on the computer. I'm really techie. And they said, you could do that?
Right.
Like, how embarrassing. You could do that? Yeah, you could do that. Maybe something else you can't do.
One day you're good at the computer, then you get a diagnosis, and then, oh my God, people say that I can't do that anymore. I know what I can do.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Right. But so many times we just poo-poo that, and that's wrong.
Exactly.
And that's wrong. And the other thing I said too, we talked about earlier about the medication and putting all the pills in the. That's something that I think is better for the care partner to take over, just because it's
dangerous.
Medication.
Yeah.
But when you're doing something else around the holidays and you're cutting the fruit salad or whatever, let the other person cut it. It may take them a little longer. What's the big deal? You're not going anywhere now anyway. You're going to be around the house.
I don't know my husband. I wouldn't let him have a knife around me.
You would have something else to do.
No, cutting fruit today.
But really, because and I'm seeing this change. People would come into support groups more and more and tell me, Mom, Dad, my husband, whatever, is just sitting in the chair because we took everything away from them, including conversation. And I'm finding less and less of that, which makes me feel better because I think people are getting out there. You agree, Debbie?
I do. I think that they're doing it in ways that are safe. And I think that when they come to the support group, they realize that they have a new family that they can connect to, that are going the same journey, that are having the same struggles, and they become much more accepted. We've heard great stories of that. So I have enjoyed the support groups probably as much as the caregivers have, because it's keeping me connected. So I think I look forward to them too.
That's fabulous. All right, honey, we'll talk to you soon.
We'll see you soon.
We'll see you soon.
Hopefully we will. But thank you for having me, and Brian and Maureen. It's been a pleasure to be here with you, and someday we can collaborate and do just great things.
Yep. Good stuff for 2021.
Same here, Debbie.
Sounds like a plan.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Debbie. Thanks so much to all my listeners for tuning in today. I know lots of times you don't have a whole hour just to listen to the show, but the podcasts are everywhere, on YouTube, on Facebook, on my website, lindaburhans.com. I'm going to continue to bring you new content, whether it's blogs or Tuesday tips or Connecting Caregivers Presents, because I feel the more content I can give you, the more education and the better journey we'll all be on. Remember, God loves you all the time, and have a delicious day.
You just called out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running. Oh yeah, babe, to see you again.